It doesn't begin with silence. It begins with awareness. The moment you pull back, not out of fear, not as a tactic, but from clarity, the entire emotional field changes. And he feels it before he understands it. Something that was once predictable suddenly becomes undefined. Something that was always there is no longer guaranteed. And in that instant, desire wakes up. You see, pursuit is not born from availability. It is born from tension, from the subtle discomfort of realizing that what you assumed was stable is now moving on its own axis. When you stop leaning forward, when you stop filling the gaps, when you stop emotionally chasing clarity, his nervous system finally activates. As Carl Jung said, what we do not make conscious will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. When you pull back, you force him into consciousness. Before, he was responding to you. Now he must respond to himself. This is where most women misunderstand what's happening. They think pulling back makes them colder. But what actually happens is the opposite. You stop regulating his emotions for him. You stop being the emotional constant that allows him to stay passive. And when that support disappears, even quietly, his inner balance is disturbed. In Jung's view, desire is closely linked to the shadow, the part of the psyche that awakens when control is lost. When you were always present, always available, always emotionally readable, there was no shadow, no mystery, no inner movement required. But the moment you reclaim your energy, his shadow stirs. Not because he wants to lose you, but because he suddenly realizes that he can. And that realization is unsettling. Your absence doesn't scream. It echoes. It creates a vacuum where effort must appear or connection collapses. This is why he begins to think about you more when you pull back. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped making it easy for him to remain unchanged. You are no longer cushioning his indecision. You are no longer translating your worth into reassurance. And something ancient inside him recognizes the shift. Jung would say that when a woman withdraws her psychic energy, the man is forced to confront his own anima, his inner emotional world. That confrontation is uncomfortable. It creates restlessness. It creates pursuit. Because now, the relationship is no longer happening to him. It demands something from him. And this is only the beginning. When you pull back, you're not removing love. You're removing access. And the male psyche reacts far more strongly to the loss of access than to the loss of affection. This is where emotional reversal begins, not as manipulation, but as consequence. Before, he could sense you emotionally leaning in. He felt your attention before you spoke. He knew, unconsciously, that you were still there, waiting, available, emotionally open. That certainty created comfort. And comfort, while safe, rarely creates pursuit. But the moment you step back, his inner narrative breaks. He begins to feel something he hasn't felt in a long time. Uncertainty about his position. And uncertainty activates desire. Carl Jung believed that the psyche moves toward wholeness through tension, not ease. When tension disappears, growth stops. When you were always emotionally present, you unknowingly relieved his tension for him. You softened his doubts, justified his distance, filled the silence with understanding. And by doing so, you made his inner world too comfortable to move. Pulling back reverses that dynamic. Now he has to wonder. Now he has to feel. Now he has to confront the question he avoided. Am I losing her? This is why he begins to chase only after you stop explaining, stop reassuring, stop initiating emotional repair. Not because he suddenly values you, but because the emotional structure he relied on collapses. In Jung's terms, you withdraw projection. You stop being the container for his unresolved emotions. And when that container disappears, everything he pushed outward rushes back inward. He feels restless, distracted, pulled toward you without knowing why. And here's the paradox most women miss. Your pullback works only when it's genuine. If you pull back while still emotionally leaning forward, still watching, waiting, hoping, he senses it. The reversal doesn't happen. But when your energy truly returns to yourself, when your nervous system no longer revolves around his reactions, something undeniable changes. Your presence becomes optional, and therefore valuable. He begins to pursue not to control you, but to restore emotional balance. Because now, he is the one experiencing the discomfort you once carried silently. Jung said that transformation begins where resistance appears. And resistance is exactly what awakens inside him when he feels you slipping beyond his emotional reach. Not gone, not unavailable, just no longer centered on him. And that distinction is what makes him move. This is the psychological root of pursuit, and we are only just entering its deeper layers. There is a precise moment, quiet, internal, almost invisible, when he understands that something has changed. Not because you announced it, not because you demanded more, but because your emotional availability is no longer automatic. You respond differently. You pause instead of rushing. You stop filling the silence. And this is where the deepest shift happens. Before, your energy was predictable. Even when he pulled away, he knew exactly where you were emotionally. You were still oriented toward him, still open, still waiting. That knowledge gave him unconscious power. Not power over you, power over the pace of the connection. When you pull back authentically, that power dissolves. Carl Jung wrote that the psyche reacts most strongly when a familiar pattern breaks. And this is exactly what happens here. His internal map no longer works. The emotional shortcuts he relied on disappear, and suddenly he has to engage. This is why men often feel anxious after a woman pulls back, even if nothing dramatic has happened. He can no longer read you the way he used to. Your inner world becomes private again, and privacy creates gravity. You are no longer emotionally available on demand. This is not punishment. This is boundary, and boundaries force awareness. He starts replaying conversations. He notices the absence of reassurance. He senses that you're no longer shaping yourself around his moods. And this creates a subtle but powerful fear, not of losing you entirely, but of losing access to you. Jung would say this activates the fear of individuation. The moment a man realizes the woman in front of him is not an extension of his emotional needs, but a whole being moving independently. That realization is destabilizing, because now he must decide. Before, there was no urgency. Now, there is consequence. And this is why his behavior begins to shift. He reaches out more. He tests your availability. He looks for signs that he still matters. Not because you withdrew love, but because you withdrew emotional predictability. Desire does not grow where everything is certain. Desire grows where something meaningful is at risk. Your pullback creates that risk, not artificially, but naturally. You stop chasing clarity, and suddenly he seeks it. You stop holding the connection together, and suddenly he feels responsible for it. And this reversal, this quiet turning point, is where pursuit is born. Not from games, not from strategy, but from the moment a man realizes that if he does nothing, something precious may move on without him. And this realization changes everything. We're moving deeper now, into what happens after he begins to chase. When he starts chasing, it's tempting to believe that you suddenly became more attractive. But that's not the truth. What actually happened is far more confronting. He lost his internal position. Before, his sense of self inside the connection was stable. He could approach when it felt comfortable and retreat when it didn't. You were emotionally available enough to absorb the imbalance. Your presence regulated the relationship for both of you. When you pulled back, that regulation disappeared. Now he is alone with his feelings. And that is where pursuit begins. Carl Jung believed that when external reassurance is removed, the psyche is forced inward. This inward turn is deeply uncomfortable for someone who has relied on distance as protection. Suddenly, his avoidance no longer soothes him. His independence no longer feels empowering. Instead, it feels hollow. He doesn't chase because he feels powerful. He chases because he feels destabilized. Your absence, or rather, your emotional independence, confronts him with a question he avoided for a long time. What do I actually feel when I'm not being held? This is why his chase often looks confused, inconsistent, urgent but restrained. He reaches out, then hesitates. He wants reassurance, but doesn't want to admit vulnerability. He wants closeness, but fears losing control. This inner contradiction is the engine of pursuit. Jung would describe this as the ego colliding with the unconscious. The part of him that wanted freedom now collides with the part that fears loss. And that collision creates motion. What's important to understand is this. You did not create his desire, you revealed it. Desire that already existed but was numbed by comfort. Longing that was muted by emotional convenience. When you stopped overgiving, you stopped protecting him from his own emotions. And emotions, once felt, demand response. This is why the chase feels different now. It's not playful. It's not performative. It carries weight. Because it's not about winning you. It's about restoring internal equilibrium. And here's the key truth most women miss. If you rush to meet him at this stage, if you soften too quickly, if you over-reassure again, the tension collapses. The growth stops. The chase fades. Not because he doesn't care, but because the inner work is no longer required. Your power here is not silence. It's steadiness. You stay present, but not over-available. Open, but not self-abandoning. Warm, but not self-erasing. And that balance keeps him engaged. Because now, being with you requires something from him: awareness, intention, emotional presence. And once a man has crossed that threshold, he can't unknow it. We're approaching the most delicate phase next, what determines whether his chase becomes commitment or collapses back into distance. This is the phase where everything is decided, quietly. Not by what you say, not by what he promises, but by how you hold yourself when he comes closer. When his pursuit begins, many women make a natural mistake. They rush to meet him emotionally, afraid that distance will make him vanish again. And in doing so, they unknowingly reverse the reversal. Because the chase is fragile. It exists only as long as you remain anchored in yourself. Carl Jung warned that when unconscious material surfaces too quickly without integration, the psyche retreats. And that is exactly what happens when you collapse your boundaries the moment he moves toward you. His discomfort disappears, and so does the motivation to grow. You see, his pursuit is not sustained by your approval. It is sustained by his inner tension. That tension lives in the space between. I want her, and I don't fully have her yet. When you pull back authentically, you are no longer proving your worth. You are embodying it. And embodiment cannot be rushed. This is why steadiness matters more than silence. You don't punish him. You don't test him. You don't withdraw affection. You simply stop overfunctioning. You allow him to show effort without rescuing him from the discomfort of effort. You let him initiate without rewarding inconsistency. You receive attention without bending yourself to keep it. And this does something profound to his psyche. Jung would call this the moment of confrontation with the self, when a man realizes that closeness with you requires presence, not avoidance, intention, not ambiguity. At this stage, he is watching carefully, not just what you do, but whether you remain centered. Do you stay grounded when he leans in? Or do you abandon yourself the moment he shows interest? If you remain calm, warm, but rooted in your own life, the chase deepens. Because now, he senses that you are not chasing certainty. You are choosing alignment. And alignment is magnetic. But if you rush, overgive, over-explain, or emotionally sprint to secure him, the dynamic collapses. Not out of cruelty, but because the psychological work is no longer necessary. Desire fades when growth stops. And this is the truth most women were never taught. A man does not commit when he feels reassured. He commits when he feels engaged. Engaged with you. Engaged with himself. Engaged with the responsibility of showing up. Your pullback wasn't about creating distance. It was about restoring balance. And now, that balance is asking one final question. Will you stay whole as he comes closer? The answer to that question determines what happens next. At some point, his chasing shifts. It becomes quieter, more intentional, less reactive. And this is where many women feel confused. He's closer now, but not dramatic. More present, but not overflowing with words. More consistent, yet still observing. This is not hesitation. This is assessment. When you pulled back, you triggered desire. But when you stayed centered, you triggered something deeper: respect. Carl Jung believed that the psyche seeks balance above all else. Once desire is activated, the next question the unconscious asks is not, do I want her? But can I meet her? This is where the real pursuit begins. Now he's no longer chasing to relieve anxiety. He's watching to see whether your strength is real. Do you hold your boundaries without hardening? Do you stay open without dissolving? Do you allow closeness without giving up your center? Because here's the truth. Desire can survive inconsistency. Respect cannot. This is why some men pull away again at this stage. Not because they lost interest, but because they realize that being with you now requires maturity they're not sure they possess. Jung would call this a confrontation with the shadow, the part of him that recognizes his limitations. Your presence mirrors back what he must become to stay. And mirrors are uncomfortable. If you remain grounded here, something subtle but irreversible happens. He no longer sees you as someone to win. He begins to see you as someone to rise toward. That's when his effort changes shape. He plans instead of reacts. He clarifies instead of hints. He chooses instead of drifts. Not because you demanded it, but because your energy no longer supports ambiguity. And this is where your pullback completes its purpose. You're no longer creating distance. You're creating definition. You don't rush the process. You don't chase reassurance. You let behavior speak. And behavior, under pressure, always tells the truth. What happens next depends on one final thing: whether he is willing to step fully into presence or retreat back into comfort. That final turn is coming next. Every emotional reversal reaches a crossroads. Not a dramatic one, a silent one. This is the point where his pursuit either deepens into presence or dissolves back into distance. And the decision is not made in words. It is made internally, in the quiet moment when he realizes what being with you now requires. Before, connection with you was emotionally convenient. Now, it is emotionally demanding, in the most honest way. Carl Jung spoke often about individuation, the process of becoming who one truly is. And individuation is never comfortable. It demands responsibility, awareness, and the willingness to leave old defenses behind. When a man reaches this phase with you, he senses that staying close means evolving. And not every man wants to. This is why some suddenly hesitate, why some slow down, why some test the boundary one last time. They are asking, unconsciously, will she abandon herself again if I retreat? Will the old dynamic return if I pull back just a little? If it does, the growth stops. If it doesn't, everything changes. Your role here is not to prove anything. It is to remain consistent with yourself. You don't chase his hesitation. You don't confront his uncertainty. You simply stay where you are, grounded, present, unavailable to ambiguity. And this is where truth reveals itself. A man who is ready will step forward, not loudly, but clearly. He will name intentions. He will stabilize contact. He will align actions with presence. Not perfectly, but genuinely. A man who is not ready will retreat, quietly, defensively, often confused. Not because you failed, but because your steadiness exposed a level he cannot meet. Jung said that we are often rejected by those who cannot tolerate what we represent. And what you represent now is not distance, but self-respect. This phase is not about loss. It's about filtration. You are no longer asking to be chosen. You are allowing alignment to reveal itself. And whether he steps forward or steps away, something crucial has already happened. You did not shrink to keep him. You did not abandon yourself to be loved. And that is the real emotional reversal. The one that changes not just how he sees you, but how you see yourself. Only one part remains now, the final integration, where power becomes peace. There is a quiet shift that happens when the chase no longer defines you. You notice it not in his behavior, but in your body. Your breath is slower. Your thoughts are clearer. Your attention returns to your own life. And this is where emotional reversal completes its deepest work. Because the true transformation was never about making him pursue you. It was about releasing the part of you that needed pursuit to feel chosen. Carl Jung said that the greatest liberation comes when we withdraw projections, when we stop seeking outside what must be reclaimed within. And now, something inside you has returned home. You are no longer monitoring his distance. You are no longer decoding silence. You are no longer adjusting yourself to maintain connection. And paradoxically, this is when connection becomes possible. If he steps forward now, it feels different. It's no longer intoxicating or overwhelming. It feels grounded. You're not pulled toward him, you're meeting him. And if he doesn't step forward, something even more important happens. You don't collapse. This is the moment where many women realize the truth they were never taught. That emotional power is not control, not detachment, not withholding. It is self-possession. You did not pull back to provoke fear. You pulled back to restore alignment. And alignment creates peace. Jung believed that when the psyche integrates what it once sought externally, relationships stop being battlegrounds and become mirrors. Now, any man who approaches you meets not longing, but presence. He feels it. Your energy no longer says, "Choose me." It says, "Meet me if you can." And that sentence changes everything. Because now, whether he stays or goes, you remain intact. You are no longer negotiating your worth through attention or effort. You are living from a place where connection is welcome, but not required for wholeness. This is not emotional distance. This is emotional maturity. And it is magnetic not because it tries, but because it is complete. Only two parts remain now, where this inner peace reshapes how you love and how you are loved forever. Once you reach this place, love no longer feels urgent. It feels intentional. You don't rush emotional intimacy. You don't attach to potential. You don't confuse attention with depth. And this is where everything you experienced with him, the pullback, the chase, the tension, finally integrates into wisdom. Carl Jung believed that after individuation begins, relationships stop being unconscious reenactments and become conscious choices. And that is exactly what has happened to you. You are no longer repeating patterns. You are observing them. You no longer ask, "Why did he pull away?" You ask, "Is this aligned with who I am now?" This changes the way men experience you. They sense that you are not emotionally hungry. They sense that you are not trying to secure connection. They sense that your presence is deliberate. And that presence creates something rare, safety without submission. If a man steps into your life now, he is not entering a space of emotional labor. He is entering a space of mutual responsibility. He must bring clarity, consistency, and emotional presence, not because you demand it, but because anything less simply doesn't land anymore. Jung would say that the unconscious recognizes when a woman has reclaimed her psychic energy. She no longer leaks it through overgiving or self-doubt. And when that energy is contained, it becomes radiant. This is why men either rise or retreat around you now. Some feel inspired, some feel exposed, some feel unqualified. And all of those reactions are truthful. Love stops being something you chase. It becomes something that approaches you carefully. And when it does, you are not swept away. You are awake. You listen to your body. You trust your timing. You allow connection to grow without losing yourself. This is not emotional distance. This is emotional sovereignty. And it is the foundation of love that lasts. Not because it is intense, but because it is conscious. One final part remains, the closing integration, where everything you've learned settles into who you are becoming. Now everything settles, not into certainty, but into truth. You understand something that cannot be unseen. That pulling back was never about control, tactics, or making him want you. It was about returning to yourself. Carl Jung said that individuation is the courage to become who you are, even when it risks losing what you once needed. And this is where you stand now, no longer needing pursuit to confirm your value, no longer fearing distance as abandonment. You have learned the deepest lesson of emotional reversal. When you stop chasing connection, connection reveals its real nature. If he chose you because he had to grow. If he didn't, he couldn't meet you where you now stand. And both outcomes are victories. You move forward lighter, calmer, more precise in what you allow. Love is no longer something that destabilizes you. It is something that either aligns or falls away. You don't harden. You don't close your heart. You simply stop bending it. And this changes how every man experiences you from now on. They feel that your presence is not guaranteed. They feel that your warmth is intentional. They feel that closeness with you is earned through consistency, not intensity. This is not distance. This is dignity. And the most important part? You no longer pull back to be chased. You pull back because you know your place. From here on, love does not need to convince you. It meets you, or it doesn't enter at all. And that is the kind of power that never leaves you.